into the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Oh yeah. Shark Tank time. Here we are, guys, another AfterBuzz after show. We've got Shark Tank season 6, episode 6. I'm your host, Stef Z, and tonight we've almost got the full panel. Phil's working double duty in the booth, and we got some Cam in the house.
Yo, Cameron Lewis here with you. Phil, you're so far away.
I know, Phil. Phil's in the booth tonight, and I
welcome,
hope
ladies
he's
and
saying hello in
gentlemen.
there.
You know what? I just need a different perspective. Sometimes, here's a trick, right? You guys are gonna laugh.
We wish that we could hear you, Phil, but Phil is in the booth getting it sorted out.
You guys can't listen to me?
Now we can hear you.
No, the fans could listen to me, but I didn't
All right.
I didn't want you guys
You were
hearing.
telling the fans secrets without us?
Maybe it was selective hearing.
Horse pants.
That's right. That's right. I was telling the fans secrets I didn't want you guys knowing. And today's secret is this. Honestly, if there's something that I can't solve, I literally lie down on the ground and look up. That's my advice.
And there you heard it first. Words of wisdom.
Because
from
it literally
Phil Svitek, from the guy in the booth.
Because it literally gives you a different perspective on whatever it is that you're
You know, when I'm
thinking about.
depressed or like sad about something, I look at the blue sky and it all goes away too. So I'm with you there. There's something there, Phil. There's something about that. Moving on to our first, we got Oilery. We got Kurt and Amy Jo from Wisconsin. What you guys think about Oilery?
First of all, love the name Amy Jo. It's a good name.
It is kind of a good name. There's some names that, you know, I wonder if her name, well, yeah, it's like two names as one. That works.
2 first names.
Well, that's funny because, like, some people I know, like my friend Melissa Purdy, like, you have to say Melissa Purdy because you can't just, and it's not even her name anymore. She got married. But, like, some people, but she has that first name that's 2 names. Amazing. Anyway, back to the oil.
Back to the oil. Oilery, USA.
Phil, what'd you think about the Oilery?
Here's the thing. I don't really care that much about oils.
Yeah.
However, I really love this pitch. I love the business. I am with Mr. Wonderful in the fact that I think he's hit a few markets that this can be successful at. Can it be a national brand? I don't actually know that. And I also liked his response to Lori. I thought he was great, and the fact that Mark complimented him of like, you know what, this is a story that all of America needs to see.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like that too. And Mark, you know, he actually said, you know what a Shark Tank gold digger is, and you're the exact opposite. You guys have made this happen, which I definitely agree. I like the business. You know, I get what Mr. Wonderful's saying, but there's enough markets to make this nationwide and not be in New York and LA. And in those bigger cities, you take your 5 best-selling oils and you have them in Whole Foods or wherever. Like, there's a way to do that, I think.
This business reminded me of Tijuana.
I don't know what that is.
It's not a big thing on the West Coast.
Clearly.
In the Midwest, where I'm from, they have, it's like specialty tea stores where you go in, you can sample teas, and then you buy whatever amount you want of those tea leaves in specific packages. It's very similar to that business model, I think.
Yeah.
I've seen those at malls here.
Yeah?
Yeah. Check it out. A lot of the Westfield malls.
Really?
Out of the Westfield.
All right. Well, they're asking for $500,000 for 35% of the company.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of fair. They did $3.1 million last year, and they were smart. You know what I really liked about this as well is that a lot of companies or, you know, that come out on the Shark Tank, they don't know all the answers about the franchise process. And these guys did their homework. They kind of knew that it's going to cost $37,500 to start. Then they're going to get the 8% royalty. They already have 7 franchises going. Like, they know what they want. And that's why I feel like a lot of people, get to the tank and they want the sharks to tell them exactly what to do and if it's franchisable or whatever, you know. And I feel like they had this part figured out already.
Yeah,
so I kind of like that. You know, and Robert, he was kind of like, nah. He's not talking his language. He was saying he's like not really into it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I know I like the oils and stuff like that, but I don't know if people who aren't into it are really gonna get it. I know, like, I don't think it translates well to people. You know.
Well, I feel like too. I mean, I don't know. I'm like the person. I'm terrible at food and food shopping and stuff like that. But yeah, like I would never ever be like, yeah, let me go taste some olive oils.
Right. But those people exist. Those people exist.
I know, they do.
Well, remember, I think it was Robert who asked, like, do we have some bread for this?
Yeah.
Right. That was
like,
kind of
no,
weird.
You just kind of sip it.
I don't know that I've ever sipped any kind of oil by itself.
Well, yeah, and I feel like he was saying that's part of the tasting process, to not have that. So, and that's something that can tie in the customer that's not the olive oil or the oil connoisseur,
right,
to making it taste good and familiarizing them with the product. So I thought that was a big no-no, that they didn't have bread or something to put it on, or a salad or something to like taste it on, that that people could taste the difference.
Right.
But it wasn't, for me, it wasn't, you know, it was a good idea. It was a good business. They were smart. They worked really hard. I really liked them. But as far as the business, was not excited.
No, yeah, I think it could be successful, but it wasn't something I was really stoked about. Like, I haven't thought to myself late at night, sitting at home, going, man, I could go for some oil right now.
Let me go try a few.
I'm going to go to the oil store, grab a few friends, go test a few samples. It's not as much of an experience, I think, as he is wanting it to be.
Right.
But Kurt, I love this guy.
You know, it's so funny. I was actually, when I first saw this, I was hoping that it was like perfumes, like oils, like body oils.
That's an interesting idea.
Which I thought was where they were going to go.
That's a really interesting idea.
Yeah, because it's like you can take bits and pieces. You can make something up that goes with the chemicals in your body and try it on and leave with your own personal fragrance. You know, someone's going to steal that idea, just like I'm just going to go to it right now. We got a spin-off of Shark Tank. We've been saying it. I know, this is our breaking news. We've been saying it over and over and over again that we want to see more. We want to see how these deals come to fruition. We want to see what goes into it. And now it's going to happen. Do you know when the release date is, Phil? Do you have that?
I believe Cameron broke the story. Cameron, more
I believe it's TBD on a release date. I know that they're looking at a 10-episode first season.
Yeah.
That's to be determined for you newbies.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
He's working like triple duty. He's translating, too.
Traffic coming up in 5.
Calling all cars.
It does look like it's a 10-episode season, no docu-reality style, Beyond the Tank.
Yeah,
is the title, which is like, that's perfect. That pretty much sums it up. But I'm hoping to see some of the favorites in there.
Yeah,
I'm hoping to see some of the favorites.
I'm hoping to see some of the failures. That's what I'm most excited to see. I want to see what, you know, because we see these deals that are made, and we think that they're all working, you know, like, and they're not. I want to see that fourth wall come up and be like, this is what happens underneath behind.
Well, I want to see the check procedure, right? After the deal is made, obviously they get to have their due diligence and look at the numbers and all the rest of whatever there is they're looking for, to see if they have the patents, whatever else. And sometimes the deals don't always fall through. And I believe initially in season 1, a lot more deals fell through. Now it's a lot of deals actually continue on.
I thought you meant the check writing process. I was like, it's pretty straightforward. You just write a check. I don't think it's a big one.
I don't really want to see. I want to see how.
I want to see his signature.
Does he use a quill? Maybe.
Probably.
Does he feel bad when he adds that one last zero to make it $1 million instead of 100,000?
Does he start sweating?
Anyway. Are the tears of young children the ink? Probably.
It's possible. Anything is possible. All right, well, is there anything else before we move on from the Oilery that stuck out for you guys? Let's get back to it.
I was upset at the end of this one because I wanted success for Kurt and his wife. And he was upset at the end. He was crying. We had a tearful exit from the tank. So I was hurting for good old Kurt Campbell.
Yeah, you know, I felt for him as well. I feel like their business is going to be okay, though.
I think they'd be okay.
Like, you know, they did $3.1 million last year. I feel like they're going to gain knowledge from this experience. They're going to go home. They're going to think about some other stuff. They got tons of great PR for this. I mean, no one else has Mark ever called, like, you are the opposite of the gold digger. Like, you are here with your business you've worked for. So I feel like lots of positive things are going to come from that. So I'm not too, you know, I felt it. I wanted him to get a deal.
Yeah, but I think
you know
you're
what?
right. I mean, even if it's not a $10 million, $100 million business, it's a business that he'll probably be able to sustain.
Right.
For at least a lengthy period of time, I would think.
I agree. Anything else from you in the booth, Phil, before we move on to the Honeyfund?
You know, I did feel bad for him, and you know, adding to what Mark said, you know, I was hoping that someone would give you a deal, but I unfortunately cannot. Yeah. And but he's gonna walk away, and in some ways it's good because, as he said, he's had a whole life of setbacks, and although this isn't the biggest setback he'll ever face, and I don't even look at it as a setback, it'll motivate him even more.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it wasn't like he went into the tank and they ripped him apart. They were just like, this isn't really something for us, but like what you're doing is working, and who you are is a good, honest, hardworking man.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I feel like there was nothing but positivity there. Just maybe not the right fit.
Yeah. That's all it is, Kurt.
That's all it is, Kurt. We love you, man. We love you. All right, moving on. We've got Josh and Sarah for the Honeyfund. They want $400,000 for 10% of their company. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think of the Honeyfund?
I get it, but it was an underwhelming idea for me.
Yeah.
It is like, I don't know. I like when people come in with products and businesses that seem like a new idea. This is just a different spin on crowdfunding.
Right. Here's what I hate. I hate the fact that they just kept going of like, oh my God, we have another idea.
Right.
You know what?
Right.
If that didn't excite you, wait till you see this.
Right.
Oh, that wasn't exciting enough? How about this?
How about these 18 businesses? We've done all the logos.
You know, honestly, I've done this before. One of my dear friends got married, and she had this
Honeyfund,
the Honeyfund, as you know, part of the registry.
Yeah,
and this was 2.5 years ago, maybe.
Yeah,
something like that. And I thought it was one of the most brilliant ideas ever when I was doing it, because it was awesome. You could go through and you could be like, they could go play golf or the massage or the dinner or just to the hotel expense, the resort stuff. And I feel like nowadays so many, I don't know, I feel like weddings as a whole have gotten so blown out of proportion, and they're just to impress people, and people spend all this kind of money for no reason. That's my own personal opinion. But with this, it's like you're not giving the blender or the basic.
No, I get that.
You're giving an experience and a, I don't know, I really liked it, but now my opinion on that has slightly changed because there is so much crowdfunding out there. Like we could literally start a website tomorrow, get all the code for it, and have a new like it's not an original idea anymore.
Right.
So for them to, if they were in the tank 2 years ago, before every Kickstarter, Indiegogo, WeFund, this, that, and the other thing, it would be like, whoa, this is a really cool idea, a way to get people to do something that they want to do. Besides the fact that it kind of bugs me a little bit that they're making money off of, you know what I mean? It's like what we want is to raise money for you, but we're going to take some.
Right. You know what I love?
Bugs
I love
me.
Lori said the space of crowdfunding is crowded.
Yeah, that was a good quote. That was a good quote. That's the only thing I don't understand is like, what makes this different from the other crowdfunding sources? Like, what stops a person from going to Indiegogo or to Kickstarter and just setting up a wedding registry there instead of going to...
I'm not sure if you can. Actually, the difference between Indiegogo and Kickstarter is Kickstarter, if you don't raise your goal, you don't get any money. With Indiegogo, I believe that if you get your goal, they take 4% of it. If you don't get your goal, they take 9% of it.
Okay.
So I feel like that's the big difference between those two platforms. Kickstarter might have more branding and more people might go there, so it might work out that it's like I've heard both sides of that argument of which one is actually better, but those are you know, the difference is, or the big ones. If Kickstarter, if you don't meet your goal, you don't get any money.
So Honeyfund doesn't take any money from the people. They take it from PayPal, they said, per transaction.
Right.
Okay,
So they're taking it
that's
from the
difference.
people that are donating, but in the same sense, it's taking it, because if I say you have a Honeyfund and I'm giving you $100, you're not really
Right.
I'm either paying, you know, $105 and $5 is going there. You're not
Right.
getting all of my money.
Right.
So if I was to go to your wedding and write you a check, you'd get all my money.
Well, another thing too, and I guess I didn't understand 100% how the website was set up, but it looks like you set, well, I don't know. I don't know if it's set by the people who are donating or set by the people who do the registry, the gifts and or things that you will do on your honeymoon.
Yeah, it's
How
kind
is that
of
determined? And if you only have $500 to go towards your cruise and $2 to go towards golfing, do you have to spend the $2 on golfing, or do you put it in a bigger pool and do kind of whatever you want?
I think it's that. The way that my friend had it was she had a whole website for the entire wedding that had like directions from here to here. So it felt like you can, from their site, probably build it into your own wedding experience.
I see. Okay.
You know, it's custom. You can be like, we want a massage, we want this is where we're gonna go. And I think too that the resorts probably are set up to have this, you know, like the capability in order to be set up for Honeyfund. That could be wrong, but I feel like that's how that might have changed.
That would make sense though.
Yeah, I feel like 2 years ago when I did that, it was similar to that. But yeah, so they wanted. They've raised over $200 million. $200 million.
It's a lot
for couples, which is a lot of money. And they have like a great deal with PayPal because they have so much PayPal, and that's the smart part. I feel like that's the difference between some of the other crowdfunding sites is that they have the deal with PayPal.
Right.
So that's kind of
it's certainly a little bit less profitable for them in the long run.
Right.
But I don't know if the other ones do that. I don't know. What did they make revenue last year? Was
they 400K in the last 12 months.
That's what it was.
Yeah. And they total raised was 67 million. No. For last year I think it was 67 million. Phil, do you know?
67 million?
Where'd you get 67 million?
I got 67 million, and the fees were $987,000, and the profit was $217,000.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Okay. So it's a great profit. They raised a lot of money. It's working. They knew their information too. They knew that it cost 88 cents to acquire, and out of that 88 cents that they spend to acquire a customer, that they're gonna make $9. So that's a really good margin. So
Yeah.
they were really smart.
That's a question that oftentimes is not answered.
Exactly.
In the tank.
That's why I feel like a lot of people tonight had the answers to the questions, and I don't know if people are just becoming more and more prepared, or if in order to get on the show, they don't want people that don't have information. I don't know. I guess they like to rip people apart too, though. So they want to keep those people that don't know. So Barbara, I believe, was Barbara the first person? She went out and said, "I'll offer you $400,000 for 30%." I don't know if she was first or not.
First one was Robert, who said 500,000 for 50%.
Oh yeah, that's right. And I don't know. I feel like I was expecting no deal for this one.
I was expecting no deal at all.
Yeah.
I had assumed
especially after the last one where it was a good product, the Oilery.
Right.
And it just didn't get a deal. And
Yeah.
then this, like, whoa.
That's
Right.
I completely agree. And it seems like something that they would have said, oh, well, it looks like you are kind of sustainable for yourself. Why don't you just kind of figure it out? What do you need us for? But that wasn't the case. You had 3 sharks try to go in on this. The first one being Robert, 500,000 for 50%.
Right.
Which he said was 4 times what they made in the last 12 months.
Right.
Which is true. And then Kevin went in and he had a weird deal. He went back to
Barbara
previous
was last.
seasons.
I ran out of room. Yeah, Barbara was last. Go ahead.
He hasn't done one of these deals, I don't think, yet this season where he asks for a piece of the pie or not a piece of the pie and makes it. Normally he does like a residual.
But he's really not asking for a continue.
I know.
He's not asking for what he normally
asks for. But he hasn't
asks
done one
for.
of these irregular offers yet, and he did $400,000 for a third of the revenue until 3 times his investment came back to him at $1.2 million, which was kind of like, well, at first I was thinking, okay, you don't have to give up any percent of the business. But then I was thinking, you have to give money back when you need money. like 3 times the money back. And that's, I don't know.
It's always a gamble. It really is, because if this 400,000 is going to get them over the hump where they can afford to give it back, and it's like, how quickly does he have to give it back? What percentage of revenue do they have to give back? What kind of disbursements do they have to make? So there's a lot of things, again, that if we had a more in-depth show about it,
beyond the tank,
beyond
per
the
se?
show, we would see.
Oh my gosh.
So that deal was out there as well. Mark said it was scaled quickly, 5 years. There's no solution. It's growing slow, and he was kind of out.
Yeah.
You know, he was like, "This isn't you've already done, you know, the quick growth spurt." I feel like is what he was saying, and it was interesting because Mark actually said that Mr. Wonderful's deal was good, and you don't see that a lot.
Yeah. Not many people try to compliment Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Usually they do that begrudgingly. Barbara said, "You're a banker."
Yeah.
That seems pretty accurate.
Right. But in that, Barbara then offered $400,000 for 30%, which made it, you know, it made it interesting. And, you know, I love Mr. Wonderful's little comments at the end, but I'll wait to get there for a minute. So then Robert then counters and says that he'll do what Barbara did.
At that point, I would have said, "Deal, Robert."
I kind of would have too, because he in the beginning was very stern.
Yeah.
He was very, very stern. And so for him to go back on that, I don't know what happened with him, but he clearly thought something else. Like something else sparked for him.
Yeah.
And I was really, I was shocked that they went with Mr. Wonderful's deal for $400,000 for a third. You know, they have to pay it back, and then 3 times the revenue, and then they're out though, which is kind of good. If they get a good, like if they don't have to pay it all back at once, and they can pay it back over a long period of time, or however period of time they figure it out, like how long do they have to pay him back? I want to know that too. But then they're done. So it is. Right. It's kind of like they had a loan with a certain fixed interest rate.
It's either going to work
or not.
Or it's really not going to work.
Right.
But like they oftentimes say, you have to make these kind of gambles and risks, and you have to jump in feet first.
Yeah. And I like that Mr. Wonderful is, he is, correct me if I'm wrong, he is the only shark that is super creative with his deals. And, at the end, what I was going to say earlier and then I wanted to wait was that afterwards he was like, "I'm sending you all an invoice just because you learned something from me tonight," which is really true. He makes these creative deals and they work out in his favor. He's going to give him $400,000 and he's going to get back $1.2 million.
For him at that point, it's almost like going to a casino and putting $500,000 on black on the roulette table.
Right.
It's either going to happen or it's not. It's not that big of a deal to him.
Right.
And that's why I think it's interesting when he does things like that, because he doesn't really have, I mean, he's very wealthy and he has a bunch of other successful businesses. So doing this is not a total risk for him.
Right.
But there's a potential to be involved with something like this. So it's interesting when he does that.
Yeah. You know what I also want to know when we see Beyond the Tank too, and we definitely have to cover that show, is I want to know if deals change. Like, you know, he gives $400,000 and he sees, wow, if I gave another $200,000, this business would just triple value. Let's readjust the deal. Yeah. Like, that's gotta happen.
For sure.
These deals can't just, they're not all just as cut and dry as we see on the show.
Or like, do other sharks get involved after the fact? Because they do. I mean, a lot of the updates we see, the company will say, yeah, we did great after being on Shark Tank, and then a year later we also had Live Nation become part of our company or whatever. So I want to see when that stuff happens too.
Yeah,
I'm excited for this new show.
I'm so excited. But I think it might be better. No, it's not gonna be better. It's gonna be just as good. The two together is just gonna kill the ratings. I mean, Shark Tank now crushes it.
I love it.
Crushes it
on a Friday.
Yeah. Phil, what about you? Anything on the Honeyfund? You've been quiet in the booth. Did you fall asleep on us?
No, you know what? It's one of those things that I think Lori summed it up best in the fact that people were in it. You know, I think they walked away with a good deal from Mr. Wonderful. I don't know what Robert, to me, was the only one that could add value to it. You know, being such kind of a tech guy. Yeah. If it wasn't Mark. But for the most part, if Mark's not excited about an idea, he's not going to get behind it, and he certainly wasn't.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Robert would have been the way to go personally. But
Right.
this one could pay off. It could.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else before we move on from the Honeyfund?
I think that's it.
All right. Next into the tank, we have Phil. Not our Phil.
No,
in the booth,
what?
But
Oh.
soon, Phil. Me and you, we're gonna be on there. Cam too. We'll
I'm
go
excited.
up there.
We'll go like Jimmy.
I'll be one of like
no,
the
we
kids.
won't go like Jimmy. We'll get into that later. That was the biggest buzzkill ever.
If you guys go into the tank, I'll be like one of the kids that demonstrates the
Yeah.
playground or something that you invent.
Totally.
That's what I'll do.
Next in the tank, we got Phil and Jason. They say with an innovative personal security business, emergency, $250,000 for 10% of the company. Snooze fest.
Okay.
This is boring. Okay, here's the thing, right? Let me. I'm about to be.
Do it.
Someone's about to steal from me. They might put a bat to my head. But let me get out the iPhone real fast.
I love the build-ups that Phil has. They're the best.
I'm getting out the phone. All right. Do you guys mind if I film you guys taking a bat over my head?
I hope you're putting yourself on camera right now so that they can see you.
No,
Okay,
but
good.
you're
I am.
right.
So,
You're
like,
totally right.
And then what's there's an added bonus that they kind of know your location of where you are. That's great. So then you're dispatching a dispatcher.
Yes. That's it. It's and first of all, okay, all of that aside, the app looks like it was designed by somebody who did graphics for NES in the early 90s. Like, it looks terrible. Second of all, like Phil said, it takes 35 seconds when somebody's beating you over the head with a bat to get the app launched. And what if it doesn't launch correctly? And
Okay,
what if you don't have Wi-Fi?
I'm going to play devil's advocate. When was the last time you called 911? It takes forever to get a person.
But why would this be any better? Because what this is you call a dispatcher who calls 911.
Right. So from what I understood, the dispatcher, and I feel like this presentation wasn't too clear. So
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, if there's anything, and you the viewers too, if there's something that we missed. We love when you guys, give your 2 cents and theories and stuff as well. But from what I understood, you have a network. So say my network was Cam, Phil, the police. I could send that and it would go to all of you at the same time. The police person being someone that else dispatched, but then you would know that I'm in trouble. So God forbid something happened to me, you would know my last whereabouts. I feel like that's what they're trying to do. I feel like there was definitely a network and it went out to people.
Here's the thing, they're definitely trying to do something.
And
Right,
that's what I
but-
want to give them
right.
credit for. Like, I want to give them credit for they're trying to do something. And I like the geofence idea that they had.
Yeah, for
I feel like they had
campuses,
so many ideas that they weren't completely clear on one.
Yeah.
But there is something with this phone, the amount of things that you can do on the phone, there's got to be something that's almost like the... you see the infomercial when
where-
someone's fallen and they can't get up and they press the
Life
button
alert.
around. Life alert. They
But
press
that's
a
what-
button
but
and
right.
people come.
This is where I think it would work. This is how I think it would work. You know how you wear the sensors or whatever for jogging?
Yes.
Or the phone knows how many steps you take. If there was some way for it to constantly be tracking your vitals, and there was a spike in your vitals, because when something like this happens,
They have that now. They have stuff that can do that, and I believe the watch
if
is
it
gonna
spiked the vitals,
something like that.
and then it prompted you, "Are you okay?" and you hit yes or no, that would be a more understandable situation, I think. But the thing is here, it gets lost in you having to launch the app and you having to go in and press the button. Or unlock the phone or
if it
whatever.
was just press the button, and I know that this is maybe something that the two of you have not thought of as much, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think guys would think of it as much as girls. If you're walking home by yourself and someone comes and gets you, like, it's very easy to like do this phone and press something. It shouldn't be an app that has to launch it, you have to go in it. It should be you tap one thing and it goes out.
Yeah,
your GPS and your stuff.
I completely agree
Because
with you.
there is times where you're like, I've gotten phone calls from plenty of friends that are like, hey, I'm going to do this. Just can you stay on the phone with me for a minute? It's very
Right.
different. Especially college campus nowadays. Like, and not to like instill fear because you can't live like that, but there's crazy shit happening these days.
Yeah.
And people should be able to feel like instantaneously they can be tracked or protected.
Yeah, I think if it was kind of like a feature on, you know how now on the iPhones or pretty much any smartphone, before you even unlock it, there's the ability to make an emergency call very easily. If there was one button on the screen that would fire something to those emergency contacts, that's when I think it would work.
But I feel like it's not even, and again, here we go, Apple, I want a piece of this.
Start it up.
Start it up. It should be on the phone. It
No, I
shouldn't
agree.
be in the phone. It shouldn't be you have to log into the phone. It's like how you have your up and your down. You should have your like panic button
That's what
on
I mean.
your phone.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I want a cut.
Boom.
I want a cut. Wherever the camera is, I want a cut. But but yeah, that, like I said, I like their idea. I'm very much with Lori in the sense that I like ideas that keep people safe.
Yeah.
This one is just, it's still, for me, in the brainstorm idea. They're still trying to, like, suss it out.
And part of the, Robert brought this up, but there's no geek involved, he said, for lack of a better term, which I agree with, because right now, really, it seems like they have an idea, but not really the knowledge of how to carry it out, and then they contract somebody to
They got screwed.
do work, and first of all, they got screwed big time. Second of all, that person who's being hired says, I'm just going to do what they tell me, and then that's it. And so they're coming from a point of view where they're hiring a person to do work where they just don't know exactly what they want because they don't know the
Which is
the
really
system,
hard,
you
though,
know?
because a lot of times, like, that's a big catch-22 in a sense, because you can have people that have money and a brilliant idea, but if they don't know how to do the code
Right.
or you make it actually work, but you have to have, you know, your geek or your main geek who you trust. But it's hard, and I feel like what they also were saying, but they didn't present it right. If they would have came and said, we have this grandiose idea, and we've had this main geek, but he's not working out. We need you to help
Right.
us. Like, Mark's got a geek. He's got a lot of geeks. Robert's got a lot of geeks that they can go to get this thing working the proper way.
Yeah.
And I feel like they were a little unsure of what they needed. They were a little unsure of what they wanted. Therefore, they were a little unsure of what their problems are.
And they should have flashed the college campus thing a little earlier on, I think.
I think it should have been at this stage of the game, the geofence, because that to me is very, very simple. If they have all the coordinates in the geofence, so within that area it works, then you got one tap, that phone, someone's coming, campus security goes over there. And even just having that in itself, you would think, hope would deter people from acting out in that place, so it almost feel like it creates a safe place, which in itself
Certainly
is
helps.
a win. And I could totally see these college campuses paying for this, and then it's like more students will want to go because it's safer, you know, like there's
it's
a whole
essentially an updated version of the emergency poles they have on college campuses, except that it's always in your pocket.
Pretty much.
Yeah, but I think at the end of the day,
wow, that just took me back. The emergency polls, seeing those, whoa.
the more that they can, and this goes with any kind of app or tech business, the more you can minimize clicks or minimize steps, the better off you are. With pretty much anything. Yeah. Unless it's ordering a dress from the Red Dress Boutique from last week, and you super want to customize that stuff.
Totally. So these guys wind up not getting a deal.
Nope.
Which, again, I was hoping that someone would have fine-tuned their idea and got them a deal, because this is something that I would like to see out there working. It kind of has the same, and I'm not going to jump to it yet. We'll finish our pitches, but it kind of has the same feeling for me as the Breathometer that we're going to talk about in our update.
In a way, yeah.
But anything you want to add, Phil, before we move on from the emergency?
Yeah, you know what? I think they learned the valuable lesson, and especially from Robert, about just sinking money into it. And we'll see. We'll see if they take that advice of finding someone. Here's the problem: is to find a partner and a tech guy. It is really difficult. It is possible, so it's just up to them, you know, whether or not they will.
Right. Yeah. Right.
True that.
True that.
Truth
okay.
from the booth.
True from the booth. Play the sound effect.
Oh yeah.
I don't have that one.
Okay. All right, cool. So moving on now into the tank, we got Justin, Brad, and Amy with their Beatbox Beverages.
They had to be college buddies, right?
Had to be.
Yeah,
they might
no other
still
way.
be in college.
They might be.
They wanted $200,000 for 10% of their company. So pretty much.
Here's what I love. I love that everyone liked it except for Mr. Wonderful. He's like, this tastes like ass.
Yeah. He is the wine connoisseur.
Oh my gosh.
But I like, for me, the most brilliant thing that was said about this pitch was when Mark was like, you're not selling wine, you're selling fun. Yes. And I feel like that's so important. Like, I didn't even understand, like, not that I didn't understand, but like when they came out with their beatboxes, I was like, oh my God, I want one. Like, until I understood it was a wine in a box, I still wanted one. They were fun. It was hip. It was bright colors. It was like a shiny thing. And you're like, I want this.
Yeah.
And that's really what they're saying. And Mark liked it. He said it's a wrong strategy. And I totally agree with Mark in that it's the wrong strategy. Like, why are they not having like a mobile marketing tour? Why are they not at the fair? Why are they not at all these places where
why are
there's
they not
thousands?
at Burning Man? Whatever.
Well, you can't do that.
But I completely agree with that. Right now, they've said they were in stores and grocery stores and things like that.
Coachella.
It's like completely not the place to be.
No. I feel like... But again, they presented it in a way where Mark was like, you're doing this wrong. And they're like, okay, well, how do we do it right?
Right.
They weren't married to their idea. They were there because they knew that in order to take this business to the next level, they needed some help. So Mr. Wonderful, he didn't like it. Everyone else really liked it. Who gave the bid first? Did Mr. Wonderful give the bid first, though?
It was Barbara.
Oh, okay, Barbara. $400,000 for 20%. Which, what'd you think about that offer?
I thought that was okay. I thought that was pretty fair. My initial reaction was, I don't think that I would go into the tank with this business aiming at Barbara.
No, I don't feel like she'd be the right fit.
I would be aiming at Mark or Kevin.
Right.
So that was my only reservation with that. What did Kevin offer?
Kevin offered $200,000 for 20%.
Yeah.
And
which is closer to what they came in for money-wise, but a larger percentage of the pie.
I mean, Barbara just kind of doubled the money, doubled the percent. Robert to Mark was like, what up? What are you going to do? Right. And I feel like Mark was like, once he said you're selling wine, not fun, he offered first $600,000 for 33%. Yeah. And you got to make a big splash. Like, you got to put more money into this to get it out. Right. And I feel like they were like, okay. Like, they had no idea that it could be that. And they were really shocked and really excited about it in the same sense. And you saw, I believe this is one that you saw, that, they did counter. But while they were doing that, you saw like Robert and Lori talking that they were going to do something.
Yeah, which I thought was great.
I thought that was great too, because we never heard what they were going to do, because they countered with, would you do $1 million for 33%? And Mark was just like, deal. That was crazy to me.
First of all, I love that counter, because most of the time people go in and say, okay, you're asking for $600,000 for 33%. Would you do $600,000 for 12%?
Right.
It's like, why not? The strategy they used was, let's up the capital,
right,
and let him become a part of this.
Wound up having their value went up. Like, they got more value than they came in for with this business.
Yeah, and I think Mark is the right guy.
Such the right guy. This is going to be at state. This is going to be everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everywhere. You're going to have your beatbox for your Mavs and they're going to be everywhere.
Probably get it in his movie theater somehow.
Yeah.
Who knows? Phil, what'd you think?
Yeah, where are you, Phil? You're in
Beatbox Beverages.
Are you drinking some beatbox back there?
Yeah, totally. This was, you know what? The number one thing was, I just didn't want him to go with Mr. Wonderful, because it's not wine, and the fact that he's selling Oilery wines and Barbara made fun of him.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%, and especially, like, you don't need to like the product necessarily, but he was the only one, as I mentioned, to not like the drink. So he didn't get it from the beginning. I think 100% this is right up Mark's alley, and we'll see if this is out there.
I wonder if the drink would have came in a fancy package and in a nice glass, if he would have liked it. I wonder if he was kind of turned off by the idea and, the initial, wait, this is something like, why didn't I think of this? Like a subconscious, like, I didn't think of this. This is really fun. This is okay. I have to say I don't like it.
Yeah. Like, I think that he assumed at first it was just declassing wine.
Yeah.
You know.
I agree with you. So yeah, Justin, Brad, and Amy got a deal for $1 million for 33% with Mark Cuban.
I love that.
That was a good
counter.
deal. I know.
Let's make a deal.
He was smart.
I liked that too. I
yeah,
really liked
he was
that
really
counter.
smart. I like those guys
and it was
a lot.
quick, and it was like, you know what, 600,000 for 33%. Would you do $1 million? Okay.
Yeah, it was ballsy for him to say that. And
great.
I think Mark really liked that it was ballsy.
I think that the 5 of them, including Mark, or the 4 of them, including Mark, we're going to see them on the Beyond the Tank. I think we're going to see him on there.
Yeah,
Maybe a little bit hungover.
That was the best email I got all week, Cameron.
I was so excited when I saw that.
I was just like...
Because we've literally talked about it, I think, every week since I've been on the show. I mean, you guys have probably talked about it way before I even got here, but...
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm so excited.
It's every kid's dream.
Yes.
To see this show.
Happening here. Sorry guys, it's after midnight here for us. So, but and then we have, you know, I'm just going to say it. I call bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
On this Jimmy Kimmel build up. I actually thought we were going to get a smart pitch from them. Like the way that even in the info on TV, when you see the little like Shark Tank episode 6, the info was Jimmy Kimmel and pitch blah blah. It was just like seriously, and it was funny. I was watching it and I see the fourth people come into the tank, and I'm like, wait, am I watching the wrong show?
Right.
Because where's the Jimmy Kimmel thing that everyone's been talking about?
Nowhere to be found.
No.
Till the very, very end.
You know, it made me, like, Shark Tank is such a good, it took away from the entire show. It took away from the brand of Shark Tank. I didn't like it.
100%.
I didn't like it. It was a joke. It was just.
It was product integration.
It was dumb.
I didn't like it
I'm just going to
all.
say it. And I really like Jimmy Kimmel.
I do too, but...
And I just, you know, I was so excited. I thought Jimmy Kimmel, he's always a jokester. He's always, like, I thought he was going to come out with some brilliant idea that was going to...
Yeah,
like, I really thought it was going to be a legit good idea. Horse pants?
I know.
Horse pants!
But see, also, if this was going to be a joke from the beginning...
Horse pants.
And horse pants was the pitch, then that's fine. I'll accept that for what it is, but he should have still pitched it seriously. Then it would have been funny.
Right.
You know what I mean? He should have actually tried to pitch and told, you know, legitimate information and not say, you know, years from now we'll make $700 billion, because then it just becomes super
It was just, it was poor taste. I don't know how that happened or why that happened, but I don't think it did anything good for the show.
It's because it's ABC.
Yeah.
Right, but now you have 2 of your shows looking dumb. You know what I mean? Like,
and we didn't even get the outcome is going to air on Jimmy Kimmel Live, tomorrow on Monday night.
It's just kind of, it was just very, I don't know.
Purely cross-promotion. That was all it was.
It was purely cross-promotion, which is just for this show. It's like they were just saying how they don't want Shark Tank gold diggers. That's exactly what Jimmy Kimmel did.
Exactly what Jimmy Kimmel,
which is
100%.
kind of, it's like, wait, your show's doing better than mine. Let me come on your show and make an ass out of myself, literally, put some pants on it.
And drag Guillermo in there.
Yeah, and then we're going to make your show look kind of dumb. I feel like a lot of people were just, I don't know, maybe the rest of the world thought it was funny.
I'm surprised. I think maybe that they stole some laughs from the Sharks from other days. I don't think that they... this doesn't seem like something they would go with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it seemed forced.
All
right, enough about that. Anything else about the Jimmy Kimmel thing for you, Phil?
No, I mean, I'm actually looking forward to the conclusion, but more than that, not really.
I'm actually looking. Nope, not really. Just kidding. All right, cool. Well, then our update this week, we had the Breathometer.
Yeah.
This was still one of my favorite products. And again, it's because I like the products that help the world. I think this is a very good product. Back in the day, he got $1 million for 30%, and I believe he got all 5 sharks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why he went on the day they were taping, because there was no way that he could get all 5
in the same place. Right.
Wait, say that again.
Go ahead, Phil.
you couldn't get all 5 of the sharks to be in the same location at the same exact time unless it was the taping of Shark Tank.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, so that's why his update was actually there, not in like his factory or
Yeah.
whatever. And he was doing, you know, we got to see his new product called Breeze, which is the Bluetooth sensor. And you know what really fascinated me about this is that they showed, you know, the partnerships that he was making with clinics and scientists.
Right.
And, you know, this isn't just like, you know, a bull crap product. Like they're actually putting lots of dollars and research
There's
behind
science
this.
behind it, yeah.
Yeah, to try and make this something that actually, you know, helps and people can get a legitimate breathalyzer to see if they can get behind the wheel or not. And I'm sure it's saving lives, and that's got to be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a great idea. I mean, this is what I think the emergency was really trying to be.
That's exactly
like you said earlier. But this has a lot more things going for it. The product design seems a lot better, first of all, and this guy seems to. I mean, he talked about how he built this thing in his garage. Yeah. So he really seems to be kind of up and up with the tech too.
Right.
So that's what I think makes that different from the emergency. But what were the sales? He said 10 million in sales.
Yeah, they said for the first year when they were doing it before Shark Tank, it was 1 million, and now they're up to $10 million in sales, which is pretty big deal. And I like that people are paying for this product. I
Absolutely,
really do. Anything else on the breathometer for you, Phil? Anything else on the episode? I think that about wraps us up.
I think the breathometer, I think the next phase will be integrating it with cars.
Yeah.
To something to the extent that the car won't start until you're good. Or it'll make you call somebody.
Ghostbusters.
No, make you call like Uber or something. They should do a partnership.
Emergency. Ooh, wow. You need to write that one down too.
Yeah.
Uber partnership.
Yeah. All right. Well, Cam, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at the only camshaft. And on Wednesday nights, I do the Stock Raptor show right here on AfterBuzz TV.
What about you, Phil?
You can follow us here at AfterBuzz TV, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that fun stuff. And of course, we will be doing Shark Tank every week.
Oh yeah, and you guys can find me, Stef Z, on Twitter and Instagram at I am Stef Z. I do a whole bunch of shows here. And actually, if you guys would go to my profiles right now and vote, I need your votes. Just go have a look, click on a link that's in my profile, give me a vote. All right, well, we'll see you guys next week. Take care.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.